starts to get us going.
Hey, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And happy holidays.
Yes,
Yes.
and also happy holidays. But you guys are turning into Author Talk with me, Amy, Sandy, Russell, and our guest today is Darnell. Everybody say hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Darnell.
Hello. I thought she forgot us for a second, Darnell.
No, never. Never.
I think intentionally.
Hey, well, you
This
did
is gonna
say
be
something
fun.
not nice to me off air, so. didn't take-
No, that wasn't you. It was Sandy. I said, well, Sandy, go. You forgot to brush your hair. She's like, well, what are you talking about?
Yeah. She seemed to have gotten it.
Wait, we're not recording this, are we yet?
We are recording.
What? What?
Yes.
So, yes, this is recorded.
And you don't have to go to the hospital. It is
I
Christmas
don't have to go to the
morning.
hospital. You guys got me too excited, and I'm changing clothes. I told my husband I've got to go do a costume change for the Author Talk. So, my Christmas shirt.
Oh, your Christmas shirt. This is the third one.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
fantastic.
Cool.
It's not
deal.
as awesome as the that beautiful red one you showed us the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I hate Christmas sweaters. Darnell, do you hate or love them? I think they're
I hate
ugly. Yeah,
I
there you
hate
go.
them. I hate Christmas sweaters.
I do too.
Oh,
They're not for me. They are not for me, but I like seeing them on other people.
Okay, so
Yeah, I
Amy, you
love
will
that.
notice that it's the two men that hate them.
I know.
The two
Which is
women
weird because my husband loves them. He loves them.
Oh, you're just newly married. Wait a couple of years.
He's
I'm telling you,
got it.
a couple of
Till I grow
years.
it by then, huh?
You know,
No,
you
he went
promised
and bought
him you
his
were
own
going on that
Christmas
camping
sweater.
trip, and now you back down on it. And he's leaving in 2 days and freezing without you. We'll see what he says when he gets back.
You know, he made the choice of live or die, and he chose to go die in 23-degree weather. I am smart and was like, I ain't going. I bought him a heater. He'll be fine.
So, Darnell, you haven't met the whole gang yet, but Amy's husband, Josh.
Okay.
Oh, wait, it's
Oh,
look at that view.
Yes.
Look
This
at
is
that.
the view from Russell's apartment, which is one Park Place right across from the George R. Brown.
Oh, he's in one Park Place?
yes.
Yeah,
Looking
it's
at-
cool.
I met the owners of that place.
Oh,
Oh, you did?
Wow.
Yes, I was there for I was there recently, well, I'll say in the last 6 months, for a nonprofit event. And my brother, he has a nonprofit. It's called We See Abilities, where he deal with the special needs population. And his name is Mythica Pickett. So we was there recently.
well, that's a beautiful view. That's a view from Russell's apartment on the 13th floor
Yes.
On Christmas.
on Christmas. That's all the Christmas decorations. And you will see throughout the year, whatever the decorations are. Russell, is that your thumb we see or your
Yes. I'm going to be a little disorganized for a second. I got to get the
Okay.
dog in
That's
from
fine.
the balcony so she doesn't jump off.
All
Not
good.
that that would be that big a deal, but I'm just saying.
Yes, it would be that big.
Yes,
Okay.
it would.
So yay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. On my bucket list is to live in that apartment building, so I can live
Nice.
downtown Houston and see. I love downtown, so that's awesome. My granddaughter and I both love the downtown part. So, okay, so now, Amy, what's next? Are we going to talk to your social media next? Where do you want to go next?
Oh, I thought we were talking about presents and what all we were getting.
Ah, see?
Yeah, but I still have that question.
Okay.
So we're talking about presents. What are you
Yeah.
getting, Darnell, today?
Well, I received several presents while I was in Florida. One I can't open. My sister bought me and my nephew. And my aunt, I just got off the phone with her and my uncle, and they bought me a steamer for my suits.
Nice. That's fantastic. I love those.
Yeah, I should give my wife an
out
iron.
here soon.
Well, Darnell got a steamer. He wasn't upset.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing as giving your wife an iron. Trust
I
me.
gave my wife a sleeping bag for Christmas.
Hey, there you go.
And I got a tent.
There you go.
Well, that's a great thing. And I'm getting, because we're working on Author Talk, and that's our podcast. So I'm getting, hopefully, podcast equipment. So microphone, headset, camera, all the stuff that I can connect to my laptop so that I can
Look professional.
And then we're going
Darnell, she thinks that headset's going to hide that she didn't comb her hair.
It's going to be all over the place.
Hey,
Amy, you said you were going to go change your hairstyle and everything, and I'm like, you know what? I am too. So,
Well, you did.
well, you changed it.
I can't. I don't get to change my hairstyle.
Yeah, we're more permanent.
What do you mean?
You're more permanent, Russell.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm trying to catch up to you.
Darnell, don't try too hard to catch up with Russell, okay? That might not be a good goal for you in 2018. But we do love having fun on this podcast.
Definitely.
It is working with authors, I have to say, because this is Christmas. And we're, planning a lot of stuff for 2018 and all that. But working with authors has got to be like one of the highlights, besides my children and my little furry children. Working with authors is just like the highlight of my life.
Now,
Love this.
You always say furry children. Is that your grandkids? Or your chihuahuas? She always, notice she never mentions. I get this confused.
That's my goal in life, is to confuse you, Russell. So I'm glad it's working.
Yeah.
Okay, so Amy's our social media leader. She actually does the social media for Perceptive Public Relations. She also has her own company, Abundantly Social. Oh. And so, Amy, what's going on now over the holidays? What's the big thing about social media?
The big thing right now is still Instagram. Instagram's really big, doing videos and kind of just inviting people into your home this holiday season, and taking videos, but making them feel like they're a part of your family this season is what's really big, at least for me and on my newsfeed and things like that. So,
Amy, as we're trying to promote our YouTube channel of Author Talk,
yes.
How do you use Instagram to do that?
So you can use Instagram in several different ways. You can upload a portion of your podcast up there so people can kind of get a taste of it, and then put a link to your YouTube channel.
I hadn't thought about that. That's really a good idea.
Yeah.
Boom. That's a home run.
Boom.
Boom.
That's a home run.
Yeah, or you can create a graphic that has the name of your YouTube channel on it, and have it do that. Like I have recently been using Ripple, which you can create little videos of graphics and stuff like that in there, and then you can put the link to your YouTube channel underneath that so people can click on it. So have fun with it and be creative with it. There's a ton of different ways you can do that.
Yay. So Amy, as you were saying that, it made me wonder, does Instagram have an Instagram Live? Do we have YouTube Live, Facebook Live? Does Instagram have a live?
Yes, they do. And it's one of my favorite things to do is an Instagram Live. It's similar to Facebook. If for those of you that don't know, Facebook owns Instagram. They created it. So it's similar to Facebook in the way that it works. You can do Instagram stories, Facebook Lives, and you can save all those to your devices and things like that, which is great because for Facebook Lives, it's hard to save on your other platforms.
We're having some technical issues right now.
Yeah.
I know. I was hearing it again. I don't know what.
It came out of nowhere.
I know.
It happened.
Yeah, it happened.
Okay, so Amy, with the Instagram Live, do you have to do that from your phone? Just like, because to me, the thing about Instagram is you don't even do it from your laptop. You don't do it from your tablet. You can't upload photos from anything but your phone. It is a complete mobile device.
Right.
Is that true of the Instagram Live?
Yes. It is strictly, Instagram is strictly only a mobile app. So you can only use it on your phone. Which, I mean, if you think about it, though, if you want to invite people into your house, like I was saying, that Abundantly Social is doing this holiday season, the best time to do it and the best platform to do it is on Instagram, because I'm telling you, in 2018, Instagram is going to surpass Facebook. So if you're not on Instagram or used to it, you
Well,
need
you just shocked Darnell.
Yes.
You could read it all over his face. He was shocked to hear that. Yeah,
Yes, I
Darnell, you're
was.
going to have to pick your game up.
Yeah, I'm in the dinosaur age, but
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram too. So
You are on Instagram, and you've done some Facebook Lives. I've seen those, so you've done very well. I've been very impressed. So good.
thank you.
Have you been doing Amy's hashtags with your Instagram? Because that's one
Not
of her
yet.
big rules. Okay.
Not yet,
There
but
you go,
I'm
Amy. You got
definitely
work to do.
gonna. Yeah, I have work. I have homework.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
And
come
you
up with
too,
some work,
Sue.
because Darnell is our newest client. He's been a client now for almost 2 weeks, I think.
Yes.
So yay! And so Amy's always talking about social media, and a lot of people ask me, including my son, said, "Tell me, how does getting Facebook likes and doing what you're talking about doing, how does that get me clients?" So that, for someone in a business, a lot of authors are, how does that help me sell books?
Right.
Well, if you're visible, someone will see you and they will hire you or not hire you. That depends on what they see. Darnell was scrolling through LinkedIn. Is that right, Darnell? I'll make sure I get it right.
Yes, I was.
Okay, so tell us what you told me earlier about the LinkedIn.
I was scrolling through LinkedIn and I came across your promotion, and I liked what I saw, and I decided to reach out to you guys. And I was already in the arena of looking for a publicist, so I read through everything, and everything seemed, on the up and up, and it was just impressive. So I reached out.
And then when we talked, we were both realized he has a great story, and I'm always looking for a great story. So when he told me his story, but as it started with me seeing the LinkedIn message that you sent me, and you said, "I want to talk to you about my book." And it took us a few tries for you to be available when I was available, and then we connected. And it really was a good connection, and it worked. The timing was perfect, which of course it would be. He was just getting ready to go to Florida to do a kind of like a book tour, but it's part of his whole mentoring, and that's part of his story. So Darnell, now I want to talk about your book, and I'm going to share my screen so they can see your book cover. But tell me about the book, the name of it, and the story behind it.
Okay, the Compass of a Conscience is its premise is based on partially my life story. Meeting these kids and meeting the judge and becoming best friends with a federal judge, and being able to do things as be within like seconds of her, and have her number, and we still talk to this very day. And I just went down there and met with her in her private chambers. It's just the Compass of Conscience is basically me allowing, and not only me, but anybody allowing their conscience to be their guide, to be their navigational system. And some of us do it and some of us don't, but most of us will at point. You can be conscious led. So that's where I got the premise of the book from. Just thinking about being led by my conscience, and meeting these kids in these Department of Juvenile Justice system that are going in the same path that I have once walked in. It was just only natural that I was able to connect with them and make that connection and become a mentor that they can come to, and that I can share my life experiences with, and they can see that, hey, this is a guy who been through some things I may have been through or may not have been through, but we definitely been through one thing together, and that's trouble. And I was able to come out of that and show them the other side of trouble with a different mindset. If you decide that you want to change, you can change, and you can be successful, and you can be a productive citizen in society, and you can be whomever you want to be, as long as you are, you have a change mind and you're conscious driven.
And I love what you said about one word right there really struck home with me, your mindset.
Yes.
So you can have a mindset that is totally negative and headed to trouble, and that's where you'll end up. That's where you'll go. Or
Definitely.
you can have a mindset that's you're going to do the right thing. You're going to help these kids and all the things that you're doing, and that's the direction you go. But the choice is yours. It's your mindset is your choice. Yeah, Darnell, when we first talked, you told me the story of the day you walked in the courtroom and saw all those orange jumpsuits. So tell that story for the people that are listening.
Yes. I'm a very religious man. I made a promise to God while I was still incarcerated in a federal prison. I said to God that if you allow me to ever see freedom, that if you allow me to be, free again, that I would take a message to the youth of America as far as my reach can go, and I would tell them the truth. I would show them the harsh reality that they're not ready or prepared to see. And I would try to change some of them. I know I can't change them all, but I would try to change as many as I can. And little did I know that promise and that
Yeah, you got to be careful with those kind of promises.
yeah, God cashed
You got
in
to
on
be careful.
He cashed in on me. It fell in my lap. I walked into a courtroom to be resentenced, and everything changed from that moment. I was in there. I walked in, and there were about 30 kids on one side of the courtroom. My family was on the other side of the courtroom, and it was a completely packed courtroom. And I was just shocked. To my dismay, I was wondering who were these kids and why were they there? But they was dressed like I was. I was in shackles and handcuffs, and they asked me would I talk to them, and I was like, I'm thinking to myself like, God, you got a sense of humor,
You got to be careful.
Yeah. So I talked to him for about 45 minutes, and I laid out my whole life story, and I told him everything. There was not a dry eye in the courtroom. And lo and behold, the kids were crying. I was crying. My family was crying. Even the judge was crying. And the most miraculous thing happened. The judge removed herself from her seat in the presence of everybody. She came down and she hugged me, and everybody was shocked. And that just brought more tears. And ever since then, they asked me would I volunteer, and I said, of course. And I had no idea I was getting out. I thought I was going to be resentenced and sent back to prison to complete the remainder of my sentence. But the judge ordered for immediate release. And I've never looked back. I've been doing it for years now, since 2012. I've been a mentor, and now I have an unlimited access to all of the facilities down there. When I come in town, I can go into any facility and talk to the new group of guys the kids that are in the program. It's a 6 to 9 month.
Darnell, how did this come about that you just went back down there? You just got back from a trip to Pensacola in that area, and how did that happen?
Well, I made some really good connects. One is Unicia. She's a social worker and / counselor. She has many different roles she played with the Pensacola Boys Base, which is now ran and owned by AMI Kids. The other contact that I've made is Geronda Golston, and she operates over at AMI Kids herself. And between those two, I've been busier than anybody, and I've spoken to multiple and countless of organizations through her, Judge Rogers, and Unicia, through Geronda, Judge Rogers, and Unicia. And it's just been an awesome experience, and and I can't get enough of it. There's nothing like being able to connect with someone that has been thrown away, discarded by society, and they feel that way about themselves, and then you allow them to see that, hey, look, no matter how bad you are, I've been worse, and I've been able to come out of it. If I can change, anybody can change. And that's the
And so one of the things we want to do was working with Darnell and helping him with, so we'll talk about your book in a second,
Yeah.
but one of the things we want to do is introduce him to the same type of, same people in Houston that work with teens and work with kids, because we see, a huge need for that as well. So at what point did you decide you wanted to tell this story in a book?
Actually, it was while I was still incarcerated.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So before you ever started working with the kids, you'd already decided you were going to write a book and write this story.
About my life.
Your life.
Yes. And
I did see when we showed the cover of the book that this is part 1.
Yes.
So how many parts are there to this story?
Well, we hope it's not just part 2, because that means it's about his life.
It's part 2. You have.
And
Yes,
part 2, it might be a sad ending if it's just.
you got to remember, Russell. There's what, 2 endings to 2 parts, 2 halves to a ball game, right? You got the first half, second half. So I'm working on the second half now.
So do you have any plans for when you're going to write that book?
I've already started.
Oh wow!
Nice.
I've already started.
So you and Russell could, he's in the process of finishing his second book either, and it's not his life story, hopefully. Russell writes murder mysteries.
Wow.
Yeah, but my bad guy got away, so I'm okay.
Okay, so what are your plans for so I know that we're going to be doing your book launch. So we haven't even had a book launch or anything yet.
Yes.
When he contacted me, he was getting ready to leave for Pensacola, and we went straight with doing that. And
Yes.
so now it's time to go back to square one and actually do a full-blown launch of the book. But I looked on Amazon. You already have some reviews. You already have people making some great comments on the book. And so what are your goals for the book, Darnell?
My goal is what every author out there would probably have, and that's to be a bestseller, #1 seller. I want to get this message out to the world. I want people to know that, the enigma in society that, once a criminal, always a criminal, that seems to stick. There are a remnant of individuals that are sorry and are regretful of their woes and their mistakes that they've made in society. And they work very hard, like myself, to correct those wrongs and right those wrongs. And, we just want a second chance. And in this book, I hope that I deliver a powerful enough of a message that people will get it and see the side that they're afraid of, and understand that, everybody's not this monster that TV has portrayed of someone who has been to jail or to prison.
This is a crucial message. This is important.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Russell, what are your comments? Because I don't know if you knew, Darnell, but Russell is an attorney. And
Okay.
so, Russell, have you ever seen a judge come down from the bench and hug the person?
Yeah, but not in a good way. I want to tell you, Darnell, about this. What you're saying really means a lot to me.
Yes, sir.
I wrote a blog about this just last year. I was in Fort Bend County, and I walked in one day on a custody case, and the juveniles that were to be heard that day were already sitting in the jury box, orange suits, just like you described, chains. And one little boy was 11 years old.
Yes.
And he said he never even looked over into the audience because he knew he didn't have any family there.
Yes.
And all I could think of is, what hope is that?
Wow.
And I walked over to the DAs and said, asked them, how old is he? And they said, 11. And they acted like 11 and they knew who he was. Like that wasn't the first time he was there. And he was 11.
Yep.
It's pretty upsetting. And that's why I say what you have to say is important.
You know, Russell, you just described an entire chapter, well, more than a chapter in my book. There's a kid named Brandon, he fits that description. You described almost verbatim what I wrote in my book. This is so amazing. What you just said.
Well, what kind of country if we're going to be the kind of country we'd hope we'd be, we got to save those kids. So we got to try.
And that's why I'm here. I know I'm one person, but one thing I learned about the spider
that's
web,
all you have.
One person tell one person, that person tell another person, and before you know, you have a web of people.
Right.
So,
and that reminds me, so one of our other clients has a company called Live at Choice, and her whole platform is built around the starfish story. Yeah. Are you familiar with the starfish story?
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful story of this young guy walking down the beach, and during the night, the tides would come in, and the sand was covered with starfish. And he's picking up one and throwing it in the water, picking up one and throwing it in the water. And here comes this other person walking towards him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he said, the young guy said, "I'm throwing the starfish back in the water." And the other person said, "But there's too many of them. You can't save all of them." And he picked up one and threw it in. He goes, "I saved that one. It mattered to that one." So that's what you do, Darnell. That's what Russell does. That's what all of us. It's one person at a time. It's one author at a time that we help tell their story. It's one person at a time that Amy helps build their platform on social media. And Russell working with in his, not only his legal work, but also the work he does with his book.
Don't include me that. I'm not that good a guy. Okay. I'm not like Darnell.
No, I know. But you do have that mindset that he was talking about earlier.
He's right.
This group. That's what I love about this group. So we're coming to an end. Darnell, any words you want to say? I know you want to be a bestseller and all that, and every author you write, every author wants that. So anything you want to say about 2018 and your plans for that?
2018, it's going to be quite an eventful year for me as an author and as a writer. I have several books that I'm writing at one time, and of course, they all won't be released at the same time. But I'm concentrating on The Compass of a Conscience Part 2. I have another book that I've been writing also called Flip. It's more of an urban story, but it's going to be a 5-part series to that.
Wow.
And then I have one more book that I'm working on, and it's called Dreams Don't Come True, Only Nightmares Do, the Cassandra Cassie Stabler story. And this story is about a young lady who had a very, very disturbing childhood and adulthood she comes to find she's a therapist, and she's helping so many people achieve their dreams, their goals, and help them with their mental, blockage and, just things of that nature. But she has this problem. She writes this book called Trust Issues, which becomes a #1 seller. So I kind of tell this story in the third person, but also in a narrative of her telling her own story. So it's like two people telling the same story at one time. So it's going to be kind of unique.
That sounds challenging. That's great. So this is Christmas Day. You're hearing this on Christmas morning. We recorded it earlier. Of course, you're hearing it. So we hope you have a great Christmas Day. Stay tuned for more great stories. But we just thought that Darnell's story is a great story for Christmas Day.
Nice meeting you, Darnell. Merry Christmas.
Likewise, Amy.
And so we'll be talking more about Darnell in the coming weeks, and you'll hear more as we launch his book. We'll talk about Russell's book for 2018. Amy and I, we've already talked about what our goals are for 2018. So we look forward to seeing you guys. Have a happy Merry Christmas and
Merry Christmas, everybody.